episode 69 of Fist of the North Star, 1 point. The keyword for this episode is going to be Successor. This is going to be one of my hottest takes so far. I've said this a few times, I think, so far, but I was waiting for this one. 𝚎𝚎𝚅𝚌𝚎, all of these are over. Now it's going to be 𝚎𝚎𝚅 and 𝚅𝚎, right? So, in this episode, Koryu is introduced, right? But well, you have the whole successor thing that is talked about, right? As in Rao wasn't the successor and so on. But I want to talk about a specific thing that I mentioned before. The keyword was fate for that episode. Maybe it was 37, something like that. And I mentioned it there, that we're going to talk about it. Now is the time. I'm going to talk about 𝚎𝚎𝚅. I'd say, tell me what you think, that 𝚎𝚎𝚅 was never meant to be the successor of the Hokuto Shinken. Now, Kenshiro literally says the opposite, right? That he's the one who was supposed to be the successor. And every time, and actually we get this a few times in the anime, so it's not only in this episode, we got it before, but now we have everything to talk about this. And we have a few other indications that are going to be cool, but every time it's, 𝚎𝚎𝚅 was supposed to be the successor, but then the nuclear wave, right, and then those kids they had to protect, so Kenshiro and Yuria go in and 𝚎𝚎𝚅 closes the portal, whatever that was, right? But then, the very first time I watched this anime, I got this anachronism, because there really is a problem that, here. Remember when Jagi comes to his brothers and says, Anija, right, my brothers, what's going on? Kenshiro got chosen as the successor. How can you accept that? And 𝚎𝚎𝚅's there. And he's fine. It really seems Kenshiro already got chosen as the successor before that whole thing happened. And of course Kenshiro was chosen the successor before the nuclear war, right? It couldn't be after, because like all of that happened. So like the tiger test, all of that, the whatever it's called, right? Like the Hokuto palace, castle, like where they train, right? It's still intact, and then it gets destroyed with the nuclear thing, right? So anyway, but this is an anachronism that I spotted the very first time I watched the anime, and I took some time to make sense of this. It seems we get the 𝚎𝚎𝚅 was fine, he was healthy, and Kenshiro became the successor. But then we also say that 𝚎𝚎𝚅 was supposed to be the successor, but he couldn't be it because of the nuclear wave. Can't be both at the same time. It seems to be a contradiction. It has to be one of the two, and there is something that explains the fact that there is the other that seems to be the case at the same time. And I'm not going to develop this fully here, because I want to talk about this more later, because there are other takes of mine that are going to make more sense of this. But briefly, what I want to say is that I really think that it's Kenshiro basically glorifying 𝚎𝚎𝚅 and thinking he should have been, as we see this, well, from the beginning, this conflict and responsibility avoidant nature of Kenshiro, and that he still gets this development as he has to accept it. Man, you're the successor. Now, there is more to this, but for now I just want to say this. But the reason I think 𝚎𝚎𝚅 wasn't supposed to be the successor, I especially want to develop this, because yeah, you have this technical problem in the anime, but you know how not interested I am in these technical things. What does it mean? I think there is a real reason as to why 𝚎𝚎𝚅 should have never been the successor. He cannot be the successor. 𝚎𝚎𝚅 is yeah, of course he's very strong and like Rao, but like Rao had an obvious problem, right? This dude can't be the successor, and we developed it with the tiger test, and we may talk about it again. But 𝚎𝚎 has a problem too. This guy cannot be the successor. It's not because of the nuclear wave. And that's what I want to talk about here. And we have indication and proof to what I'm about to say, let's say, in this episode. 𝚎𝚎 is too kind. He's the opposite of 𝚎𝚎. He really is some sort of Jesus figure, like pacifistic. We have a few indications to this, and in this episode precisely, so I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. In this episode, so it's episode 69, right? He says that seeing Kenshiro fighting against 𝚎𝚎, the whole shoe thing in 𝚎𝚎 has been around. So Ray was there. Ray fought against 𝚎𝚎. So 𝚎𝚎 saw all of that, and in this episode, so maybe it took like what, 20 episodes? It took many episodes. So 𝚎𝚎 can finally say in this episode, all of this made my martial artist blood boil. I'm the one who's going to beat 𝚎𝚎. So what are we doing so far? 𝚎𝚎 is he said it before even being hit by the nuclear wave, when he was healthy, when he could have been a successor. He said he wanted to dedicate his whole life to save people, medicine. He talks about how if you hit the pressure point, like if you touch them gently, you can heal people. He says that was his dream, to heal people. 𝚎𝚎 isn't very violent. He kills all of his opponents with a compassionate technique that we talked about before too. So as much as 𝚎𝚎 was too much, 𝚎𝚎 was not enough. He's a very technical, and I believe that's what Kenshiro is talking about. Like his technique is perfect, smooth. And he's so technical, but it's more of this intelligence or just practicing every day kind of thing, right? And potential. But he doesn't have the temperament. Basically, and I'm going to sum it up like this, and we may develop it later, 𝚎𝚎 has too much individualism. So he has his own thing in his mind. And that's not a very trustworthy successor, because the successor has to do what he has to do. He just has to do it. And Kenshiro is a very good candidate for that. Kenshiro originally is too kind. He can't, right? And the master tells him you're going to suffer from that. But then he goes through hell and does it. It's not out of individualism. It's not because he goes, I want to save people. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's because he's too kind. He just has a weakness. And he has to work on it. 𝚎𝚎 has his own dream. 𝚎𝚎 was inactive for like 20 episodes or something. He would just stay idle. He finds hope. We talked about this too before. He finds hope in that village of miracles. He just heals people. He doesn't fight. And finally, he realizes that he's actually a martial artist and he has to do it, even if he doesn't like it. So, let's leave it at this. These are what I wanted to say concerning 𝚎𝚎.